Yeah, Serena's got to slow down on her spend.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
When you were just, even what you were saying about the sweater, see, I'm so brutal because I'm like, oh, if dinner costs this, then I don't mind. I'll just buy that then because
that's your ad.
Yeah,
well, that was $250.
That's all. That's all the. I have all the. Whatever fucking word I'm thinking. Anyways, we just opened up a joint bank account with, getting gifts and money from the wedding.
Oh, great.
I feel like we really have like great communication, and like we right now we like split rent, and like when it comes, I'm very like analytical when it comes to finance and money. I'm just like, okay, it's X, this is X. How do you feel? Boom, let's get it done, over with. If that makes sense. Like I used to be someone who was like, oh wait, I have to pay for this, and it's just like, no, like we're talking money. It's business. Let's just put it all on the table, whatever we're comfortable with, and that's how we'll break.
So like extremely transparent. You're just like,
Extremely
I don't like no bullshit.
Yeah.
When
Like
we
I would
talk money,
hand
this
him
is what
to
it
look
is.
at my bank account, vice versa,
Got
like
it.
full transparency on our finances,
It's awesome.
everything. But and like this is obviously subject to change, but this time in our lives, we have separate bank accounts, separate
Sure.
banking.
Yeah.
We have one joint, which we eventually will hopefully integrate, a monthly rate that goes in there for rent,
Yes.
for everything. And, we don't, like when we go out to dinner, it's like one of us picks up the bill, whatever kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like
Yeah.
we're living life together. But it is so interesting. Like I've been thinking of it a lot more just because we've been, talking about finances. Like every relationship structure when it comes to finances is so different. And I do think sometimes people underestimate like the importance of finances in relationships.
It
and like
is so important.
Yeah, and
it's the last thing people talk about.
I was listening to, I think her name's my rich BFF.
Yeah, she's coming on.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
she's
great.
coming on
She said
this
something.
week.
I was at a SoFi dinner, and she said something like, the number one thing people forget to think about when they're entering into long-term partnerships is finances.
100%.
And you're taking on, if this person has debt, if this person is a risky spender, if this person, is secretive about their finances, like you're taking that on in the marriage.
That
Totally.
was, she asked when we were in Paradise in Fantasy Suite night when we were on mic. That was one of the first questions she asked me is, do you have any debt?
Let's go, Serena.
I was like, I want to know.
on.
I was like, what's your situation? Do you have any debt? What's your credit
Fuck
score?
yes, let's go. Okay, in my book, I interviewed a bunch of leads, and I asked them, how many fantasy suites were you on? How many times behind the cameras, once it's shut, this is potentially your
I said, do you own
fiance.
any property? What's your deal?
I literally asked, did you have this conversation? Spoiler, every single person said no.
Yeah.
So let's go, Serena.
Thank you.
That is
Thank you.
amazing.
Also, debt's not
Hell
necessarily
yeah.
a bad thing, by the way.
What?
Debt.
No, debt's not necessarily.
No.
Like you can grow with debt, but in general, 99% of the time, when you're meeting someone, debt is like
Well,
having
you
the
don't want-
conversation. It's
You
usually
don't want
not
credit
good.
card debt. You
No.
don't want borrowed, like you owe money to like whatever family, friends. Like you don't. That's when it gets.
There's
real.
good debt, there's bad debt,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking to someone about a relationship. 98% of the time, it's bad debt that's unrecognized, right?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing we talk about is like people lie all the time on first dates. People lie in relationships. They gaslight. They do all these things, right? There's so many things with numbers that you can't lie. Like if you show each other your credit report, it doesn't define who you are, but you can't lie. Like you
the
see where
numbers
it
are
is
there.
and what happened, and it doesn't. You can improve it. You can get better, but it creates like a unified, like business.
Yeah.
Two entities coming together to work as one. I think.
I think money, especially like finances in a relationship and money, and I think that why it's such a big. It's a reason why people end their relationships and stuff. Ego has so much to play.
I was just going to say
Ego.
that ego and pride play a big role, I think, in relationships. Who's making more? Who's making what?
Yeah.
People like, us who have different spending habits, trying to control each other's spending,
Yeah.
investing. Like, it is hard. Like, it is something, a big element of a relationship that I think if you're not transparent about can become an issue.
I think ego, I think it's vulnerability, and I think it's like weaponization of a resource. Like some people that have much more than their significant other use that as a leverage to get other things they want in the relationship, or I make the money, so go do this. So, and don't think about that, like between weaponization, vulnerability, and ego, those are three things that could be turned into like really healthy or like really, really toxic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think just like being ahead of that is, I don't know, just so important. It sounds like you guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Talk money to me. These two are talking money to me. We got to talk a little bit about each of your careers before we wrap here. So a lot's going on. Let's just talk about business together. Congrats. Bachelor Happy Hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Running the show. Talk a little bit about like how that came to fruition and what you guys envision from Bachelor Happy Hour as far as like career goals.
Yeah, I think so. I was doing their the sister
Clickbait.
podcast, Clickbait, and then basically we stopped doing the podcast for a little bit, and I was doing another show at the time, The GOAT, which hasn't aired yet. And when I got back, it was just kind of like, yeah, I think we're going to take a break because a lot of things have been changing, like within Bachelor Nation and whatnot. And then we got a phone call, and they're like, hey, we'd love to offer you and Serena Happy Hour. Would you consider it? And we talked about it because we liked podcasting together.
Yeah.
We just didn't know if we wanted to. She definitely didn't want to because there was talks about her maybe coming on Clickbait at one time.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to do that, and I didn't want to do that either. But it was like because it was more like Clickbait was my thing for so long
Yeah.
that like her coming on it isn't like we are doing it together.
As one. Got it.
Where Happy Hour, it's new for both of us. We're doing it together. We start together. So it just becomes one thing, and yeah, we enjoy it. It's fun, and we get to continually watch reality TV and watch the show. And the show's always been like a couple thing for me. So it's just like, it's honestly, it's fun and it's easy, really.
What happened to the other shows? Are they gone?
I think they
Yeah.
are. Well, they're not. Yeah.
So there's one podcast under ABC Bachelor Nation. You two are hosting it, and the
Yes.
other ones are.
Yeah. So they had Happy Hour, Clickbait, and Talking It Out. Clickbait was essentially like the podcast Joe was on from the start of it.
Yeah.
Which was the reason I was like, I don't want to jump into your thing.
Of course, yeah.
And they were all with Wondery, and now they just have Happy Hour with iHeart.
Okay, so you guys are working under iHeart. So
Yes.
that's Amy Sugarman's group.
It
and
is.
Them. She's great. Every
She's-
show she
yeah.
touches turns to gold.
Yeah, and
So-
it's been really fun. I really like it. I like podcasting a lot. We
Yeah.
like podcasting together, which was obviously we felt like it wasn't going to be an issue. We weren't concerned, but you are mixing like business and pleasure a
Of
little
course,
bit.
yeah.
And then just having consistent money in our world is such a luxury.
Yes,
Truly?
because it goes ups and downs, and that's like a year
Yeah.
contract or whatever it is, right? So it's
Yeah.
consistent and it's coming in. Let me ask you about this because I think it relates to people back home. I don't want to get too much into drama, but I think when people are within their careers, they get opportunities other people wanted. They get promoted when their peer didn't, and the envy starts to circle. You guys got that role, and obviously there were two co-hosts before, other people had wanted that. You hear noise about you guys were the best for it. You maybe weren't the best for it, right? People have an opinion. What advice or how did you work through all that noise? And what advice would you have for someone back home that's working in the corporate ladder? They get the job and then the lunchroom's buzzing about how they shouldn't or shouldn't have gotten it.
So, yeah, a lot, and I've gotten a lot of DMs about like stealing the job and like,
Right.
and that to me, I really don't. I do my best not to pay any attention to that. I had a relationship with Becca prior. I was friends with her. When I got the offer, I called her, talked about it. Kind of, this is the situation. She was like, "Hey, if I was in your shoes, I would accept it as well."
Yeah.
And it was like we're still friends, like nothing. And I know Thomas like came out and like said something, and people took it as like a shot at us. And he even reached out. I was like, I wasn't like talking about you guys. I think you're great, and like I wish you the best of luck. And that's it. Like honestly, like I don't. As long as my relationship with the people involved is still healthy, I'm fine.
Got it.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah, I think like on that note, with all the noise, like our biggest concern was our friendships remaining friendships. The external noise is just noise at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
the good comes in and that's nice to hear, the bad comes in and that's not nice to hear, so you kind of almost have to try to block a lot of it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like more to your point of like relating it back to if you're in the corporate world and you get a promotion, if it was one of my girlfriends that came up to me and said like, hey, I just got this promotion and everyone's telling me I didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
This is going to sound maybe harsh, but I'd be like, it really doesn't matter. You have it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people think you were the best person for the job or the worst person for the job. You have the job.
Yeah.
So just do it the best you can.
I love that.
Because it's not going to change because people are talking shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully
yeah, well,
hopefully
it
not.
shouldn't.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
you got the job.
Yeah,
like,
so
take
you
it
obviously,
and go do your
someone
work,
thought
right?
you deserved it.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I don't know, like what kind of person tells another person not to accept an opportunity? Like, you know, it's like I would never be, I used to do that, so you shouldn't.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
No, that's never gonna happen. No, if it's like, that's just how I feel.
I think you guys both nailed it. And I think both of those pieces of advice are great for people that are back home. ABC, I'm not getting into any contract violations. So I know people back home are saying, ask them what they make. I know that would get them in contract trouble and me in trouble. We are not going to ask that. But one question I think that wouldn't get you into contract trouble is you talked about having some sustainability in a world that like 1 month you can make, 6 figures. The next month you might not have a deal come in. Do you have and they've switched hosts a lot. Is there any type of longevity? Like, is it I said year, is it a year deal, 6 month deal? Like, can you speak to that or no?
For the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't.
Can't touch that? Okay.
Yeah, we can't really get into
For my
that.
Money Mafia, I tried, but we don't want to get in any trouble. On to the next topic. Let's go to Serena quickly on pre-show. You were in PR as an intern?
I was working at McIntyre Communications. I was there for, I think, 2 months before I went on The Bachelor, working as an intern. They were gracious enough to give me the time off to go on the show. And then I went back to them for, I think, 4 months.
As an intern, or did you get placed?
I'm trying to remember. Okay, so it would have been a month before I went on The Bachelor, and then 3 months when I got back from The Bachelor, because my internship was a 4-month deal.
Okay.
So 1 before, 3 after, that was my 4 months, and then there was an offer for me to come on as a junior account coordinator, a full-time staff position.
Okay.
And I ended up going on Bachelor in Paradise instead.
Idea, PR industry. We've never had anyone on. Give me an idea of an entry-level PR job. What does it pay annually? 50, 40 grand? 30 grand?
As an intern
60?
or?
No, just like if someone wanted to do like an entry-level PR job.
Yeah.
Like you have maybe a year experience. What do you think on average people get paid in that space?
40 to 50.
Okay, so right in that range. Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably even lower.
I mean, interns
Yeah.
make no money, which is fine because that's just how the story goes. But yeah, I think it's pretty standard entry level. I'm talking Canadian dollars as well. So
okay. And since then, obviously, you've done a lot. Podcast host, you're doing some influencing stuff. You just started your Reset line. That is awesome. It's a fashion forward travel accessory line. Where do you see, and I want to talk about that in a second, but like, where do you see your career going from here? Do you want to get back into reality TV? Do you want to be in media entertainment? Do you want to move in the fashion road? Like career navigation, what's your vision?
Yeah. So I'm not quite ready to go back on reality TV. I think if like a great opportunity came up, I would definitely consider it. But things have crossed my desk and I've just kind of not been ready to step back into the water yet with that. And then right now I'm just, doing the influencer life, working on social media, and it's been great. I've been very lucky to get some really good opportunities working with some really cool brands. Maybelline was a really full circle moment for me because when I was working in PR, we represented Maybelline, and I used to take the lip glosses from the office. So then getting to do the Maybelline commercial was just like a surreal moment for me for sure. But I think, we're going to move forward with Reset. I definitely have big dreams for that if things go well. We're starting with accessories, but I'd love to just build and build and build in the travel space of backpacks and suitcases and all of those things is kind of like the long-term dream if things go well. But yeah, just Reset, influencing, podcasting. I'm happy where I'm at right now.
I love it. Real quick on Reset is, do you own the company? Do you own a portion of the company? Do you partner? How do you structure something like that?
I'm the founder
Awesome.
of the company. It's under my corporation, Reset the label, and then we work with Thread Vision, who helps to manufacture the product, design, create all of that. And then we have a separate team for website development as well.
If people want to support small business entrepreneur, where can they get a piece?
They can go to the website shopresetthelabel.com or the Instagram, which is reset_the-label.
Love that. We talk money here. What is the price of one unit around cost? Like what are price points?
So I think everything is between about $40 to $60.
Okay. Passport wallets, fanny packs, accessory cases, super sharp. Check it out. Joe, we're going to go to you lastly on the career stuff. The GOAT, right? I mean, I got a million career questions for both you two, but time is running short. You're going on the GOAT. Can you talk? Can you tease? How'd you get on? Anything on the GOAT?
Yeah, no, I can't really say much. All I could say is you got to watch when it comes out.
Do you know when it comes out yet?
I don't know when it comes out. No.
Can you explain what the show's about?
It's basically a competition show.
Okay.
I could say that. I could say it's I really enjoyed doing it. Okay. I had a lot of fun. It was one of the ex-executive producers of Bachelor.
Okay.
Reached out, and you go through the whole casting process, and truly you don't know you're going to get it until the end, and then you get casted on it, and it was a blast.
Okay, last question, and we'll talk about the GOAT in the recap, but last question I have for you, reality TV. You've done a lot, Dancing with the Stars, Bachelor in Paradise twice, The Bachelorette, now the GOAT. Do you see reality TV in your future, and do you want it to be in your future?
When I first got off The Bachelor in Paradise, I said I'll never do any of it again, but that was clearly a lie. And yeah, I mean, listen,
Thank God you did.
I enjoy the process of TV. I love doing like one-on-one interviews. I just like it. It's when you finish, it's very tiring, but yeah, sure. Like there's certain shows I probably would do.
All right. I like it. TV is for Joe, maybe not Serena, but both of their career tracks are looking good moving forward as a unit and individually. Let me wrap with your trading secret, right? So one trading secret that no one could get in a textbook or from a professor or look at a YouTube tutorial they can only get from each you given your tracks. It could be a finance tip. It could be a life tip, a career navigation tip. It could just be a quote you live by. Who wants to go first? Trading secret.
Oh, you go first. I have to think about this for a second.
All right. So this is going to be Joe. Everyone, Money Mafia, this is Joe's second trading secret. And something tells me we might have a third down the line with the way his career is going. Joe, your second trading secret 1 year later. What do you got?
Okay, I'll keep this relevant to our lives right now. And it's not the craziest secret ever, but I highly suggest we're doing a week break, but like taking a little bit of a break from wedding end to honeymoon, because there are so many things within this week that it's been nice to now get home, get organized, handle anything work-wise we have to do. So then we can go and just enjoy our honeymoon. Whereas if we went straight from our wedding to our honeymoon, would have kept riding that high, but we would have just came back home, and I truly think it would have just been a clusterfuck.
That's brilliant, though. And I think that even ties into work stuff, because when you get that stuff off the table, you can enjoy your personal time more.
Yep.
So I love that trade
definitely.
secret.
Because we have a lot of work we're getting done this week, too. So
Right.
It's like we can mentally check out again when we go on.
Knowing it's done, not having anxiety about it, waking up early, etc. Great trading secret, especially with this podcast theme. Serena, we got to get one from
Is it
you.
meant to be like a money one?
It could be anything.
Anything?
And it's just like so many people look up to you and like where you've gone and what you're doing and business wise. So they want to like hear like a trading secret, like life hack that you've lived by that's got you kind of to where you are.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know if this is like insightful, but like I would just say like trust your gut. Like when I went on The Bachelor, there were definitely people that were like, you're throwing your life away a little bit in terms of like where I was at the beginning of my career. I was finishing a post-grad. I was on like a really good track. But I truly feel that I have found so much more success where I am now and happiness than if I had not gone on the show. So like in terms of like there's so much you can do on paper and like right and wrong when it comes to money and spending and saving. But like you do just also have to trust your gut.
Yeah, I like that. I could think
That was the one risk I took. I'm not a risk taker.
Yeah.
And the few risks I've taken have been, going on reality TV, getting engaged to Joe after 19 days, and they've paid off. So maybe Joe's made me a little bit riskier, and I've hopefully made him a little bit more conservative, which is why he didn't spend all of his slot money.
I take a risk a day. So
I like that. I can make a blanket statement for all of us. I don't think we're like the prototypical reality TV people.
Yeah.
It all worked out for us, and we all went on, and look at where we are today. The last thing I got before we wrap, I don't know if you could share it or not, but Serena, if you do come back on the show, will you have a name change?
Oh, yeah, I will, likely.
Okay.
I do plan to change my name. A big portion of that is crossing the border with kids with different names than you is very difficult.
Interesting.
So if I kept the last name Pitt, and if we do have children and they have Amabile, that would be difficult. So
awesome.
We want to have the same last name.
And the only reason we haven't jumped to that process right now is because she's going through the green card process. So let's get all that out of the way,
and then
we could do it.
Yes,
Got it.
Yes,
that is
exactly.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, there's no rush.
Love it. Joe, people want more of you. Where can they find everything you got going on?
Joe Amabile 1 at Instagram. And honestly, that's my biggest platform. Amabile Joe on Twitter, and Joe _Amabile, I think, on TikTok. I don't even have, my last name is just how there's other people that have that. I don't know. Like how I don't have Joe Amabile, just Joe Amabile on
Joe,
Instagram.
there's like 5 Joe Amabiles in your family alone.
Well, I think we're the only ones
hilarious.
that exist in the world.
No, you're definitely not.
There's not too many Amabiles.
Joe 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
all right.
literally.
And Bachelor Happy Hour podcast. You guys can everyone go subscribe, download, check that out.
Bachelor Happy Hour podcast. We release 2-part episodes weekly.
Cool. All right. And then Serena, where can everyone find everything
You can find me on Instagram at Serena _ oh my god, I just forgot my Instagram handle for a minute. I think it's Serena _ Pitt. And then TikTok it's Serena Pitt. And then we do have a YouTube, Joe and Serena, if you want to check that out. Podcast, Reset the Label, just follow it all. Follow all the things.
I like it. Right now, right here, we're supporting small business. We are buying one item from Reset the Label. We're giving it away. Give us 5 stars, your biggest wedding takeaway in the reviews, and one person will win one piece. We are buying that. Joe, Serena, thank you guys for being on Trading Secrets.
Thank you.
Congrats on everything.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Welcome back to part 2 of a full episode of Trading Secrets. This is great. I mean, we have 3 guests in one today. And guess what? She is back. The one and only, the OG of the OGs when it comes to reality TV, data, analytical work, and founder of Bachelor Data. I know you've heard of that. I'm sure you recently heard of Pop Culture Data and now even Rethink Data. We have Suzana Somers in the house. Suzana, how are you today?
I am so excited to be back on my favorite numbers podcast.
Yes, and you are a friend of the podcast. You have been here several times, and we will have you several more because you have just taken over. You are the person that people go to when it comes to anything analytics and pop culture. And so I thought about you immediately because last week we had Golden Bachelor premiere. We had Bachelor in Paradise premiere. Now, Golden Bachelor, I remember when I was filming on Listen to Your Heart and we were in the judges panel, the producers were all excited because that was going to be the year that the Golden Bachelor was going to be released. Well, fast forward to 2023, it's finally here. It's innovative. It's different. We have seen, Suzana, as you know, Bachelor numbers go down and down and down. Bachelor in Paradise numbers, go down and fluctuate. Bachelorette numbers go down and down and down. I think this was the curveball to get the franchise back and running. So I'm coming out hot. I'm coming right into it, Suzana. The premiere just happened, the Golden Bachelor. What do you got? You got TV ratings, you got analytics, you got followers. Talk to us. We need the info.
It has been absolutely fascinating. So like you said, all the other shows, we've been seeing ratings go down, follower counts go down, and that's so complex. We've broken that down on this podcast multiple times before. But this isn't just isolated to the Bachelor franchise. The Voice ratings are going down. Survivor ratings are going down. Like you pull any of these reality TV shows, and that's just the nature of it. Over the last 2 decades, we've had more and more competition. More TV shows are being made. Now social media is a big thing compared to 20 years ago. That's taking away people's time, that competition for time and attention. And then also, so many different platforms and so many shows. This was a very unique premiere for a few reasons. So basically that trend, it's been going down. I've got a graphic. I'll share it with you guys. I'll put it on my page. But what happened with Golden Bachelor is that, and right now the premiere ratings still aren't finalized, but the Golden Bachelor premiered at 8 p.m. on Thursday, a Thursday. This show, you even got it mixed up. It's typically on Mondays, right? The Golden Bachelor brought in over 4.3 million viewers. That doesn't include streaming numbers yet. It only includes next day watches until 3 a.m. So these numbers are still being finalized. This premiere was so big. We haven't seen a premiere with this many viewers since Matt James's season in 2021. This is huge.
Oh my gosh. So when you look at Golden Bachelor premiere on a Thursday, mind you, right? Not even on a Monday, and you compare it to the last few seasons of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, it must have absolutely torched those ratings.
Absolutely. And I think the big thing here was, number one, they pushed marketing and advertising on this like crazy. Every time I'd open TikTok, it was the first thing I saw. It was the first ad. You go to the comment section, every single comment was, I haven't watched this franchise in 5, 6, 7 years. I'm going to watch this because it was so unique and different. And I think this is what the Bachelor franchise has been battling with since it hit its peak just before the pandemic, is that so many people have been watching for so long, and it's such a tired, reused, like every season, it's they're here for the wrong reasons. It used to be they were there for fame. Now it's they're there for followers. Like literally, I get to make videos about these reoccurring topics, and it's so easy for me because they keep talking about the same things. But Golden Bachelor, totally different.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about this for a little bit. Just TV ratings in general. When you talk about, like, it's not even official yet, or you talk about people that are streaming versus watching, can you just give us like a 101 high level of when we hear TV ratings, when we hear 4.3 million viewers, like what does this actually mean? Can you break it down a little bit?
Yeah, so ratings have been notoriously very, like most people think that they're actually counting each cable box across America, and that's where the data is coming from. And that can't be further from the truth. So basically the company that runs all of the ratings, they're called Nielsen. And Nielsen, basically what they do is they take a small sample size and they pay these people to say like, hey, can we track your cable box? And I mean, it's a decent size, but it's not every single person in the United States. Like most people that are probably listening to this are like, wait, what? No, nobody's asked to pay me to watch my cable box. And they basically watch this small sample size of people, and then they estimate how many people actually watched it. Now, that has changed recently. So over the last few years, all of the companies that use this data, so, you know, like the media companies, advertisers, they've been complaining because if you think in Bachelor timeline, Ari's season was the first season that was available on Hulu. So for so many years, if you watched Next Day on Hulu, your view counts were not counted. And now they are. But you have to opt into being tracked in your Hulu settings, which a lot of people do just hit accept all when they sign up. But like I went to go check when I started to learn and read about this, and my counts weren't being counted within Hulu Nielsen ratings. But basically, whenever the ratings drop the morning after, this is what always peeves me, is people immediately jump on the headlines and they sensationalize these headlines based on what were the premiere viewer counts. But that only counts the cable boxes. It doesn't include streaming. And it does include if your cable box is being tracked, if you watch it until 3 a.m. the next day. Okay. So it's not counting everything. So what I like to do is I like to wait for a few days to look at the viewership ratings, because it's going to give me a better idea of what actually happened.
Okay, and to give people perspective, this all premiered on Thursday night, and we are now doing this Saturday afternoon. So we have an indication. Do we have every single piece of data? No, but we have a pretty good indication. And the indication right now says that the Golden Bachelor is taking off in a way the franchise hasn't seen in quite some time. Now, I heard a rumor. Again, it's a rumor. In the Bachelor world, when you're part of Bachelor Nation, people like to buzz a little bit and talk. So there's some chit chat, and the chit chat was that the Golden Bachelor, and maybe you can even confirm this through your analytical work, but the Golden Bachelor was actually supposed to be the time slot of Bachelor in Paradise. And then Bachelor in Paradise was supposed to be the main time slot. And my understanding through the rumor mill is that they saw so much lift in social media buzz and engagement when they were promoting the Golden Bachelor that they did a huge switcheroo, not only with the time slots, but also with advertising dollars spent, and made the Golden Bachelor the main focus. I'm going to get into Paradise ratings in a second, but can you confirm, deny, did you hear anything of the sort in regards to that comment?
I heard some buzz about that too, and it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we did see them do this during charity season, that they initially pushed back her premiere an hour, which made viewership ratings go down significantly more than it should have. If you were looking at the overall trends of every year, like it goes down a bit more. And then partway through the season, they bumped her back to prime time. But yeah, I heard some buzz about that too, and I think it was a smart decision of theirs. I do think, leading into the next question, I do think that they made a mistake, though, putting both shows on the same night.
Interesting. So I first have to follow up with that. Why do you think they made a mistake by putting both shows, Paradise and Golden Bachelor, on the same night?
Well, first things first, timing. Like, most people can't watch 3 hours of reality TV on a Thursday. On a Thursday.
We're already fried from the week. You're right.
Exactly. Mondays, yes. Like people are refreshed. They just went back to work after a weekend. Like they have the time that, and we see this in previous seasons for the last decade. Sometimes they have a 3-hour night, but it's not every single week of the season. So first things first, timing was a big mistake. People were going to drop off during Bachelor in Paradise and finish watching the next day because they have to go to sleep for jobs that they have to wake up for. But I think the other big mistake that they made was putting 2 very different shows back to back. So I actually polled my audience and I asked them, what did you think of Golden Bachelor? And I offered 4 options. I loved it. I think it was all right. I didn't like it, or I haven't watched it yet. And I asked that for Golden Bachelor, and then I watched it, and then I asked it for Bachelor in Paradise. Overwhelmingly, I actually have the numbers here. 80% of people who had watched loved the Golden Bachelor premiere, while almost 70% of people said that they didn't like Paradise or thought it was just all right. And I thought that those numbers, since they were so opposite, I was like, I have to know why. So I dropped a questions box on the next slide and I said, hey, if you answered that you didn't really like Paradise, why was that? And people said 2 things overwhelmingly. They had whiplash. It was big whiplash for the people who were watching because they went from this wholesome show to Bachelor in Paradise is typically a bit more goofy. Some people said trashy. I don't think it's necessarily trashy. I don't think people loved the whole like toes storyline so much, but it felt a bit more like people were having drama. I mean, Brooklyn was like Mean Girl 2004, like just trashing Kat when she came down on the beach. And that's so different from you're listening to Golden Bachelor and this woman saying about how her best friend has cancer and they've always watched the show together. Like very dissonant.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I had a great DM come in and they said, I feel as though when I was watching the Golden Bachelor, if I bring in a metaphor, it was like I was in a class and a Harvard professor was teaching it and I couldn't get enough of it. I was like, give me more. And then quickly transition from going to that Harvard beautiful classroom with an awesome professor just making me feel full to like an awful, like the worst high school teacher you can imagine. Like that's what people felt like, at least in the DMs. And I was like, oh my God, okay, I see that. I get that.
Yeah, I think if Bachelor is smart, if ABC is smart, that they'll move these to different nights so that they aren't competing with like the dissonance and then also just the fatigue that people are going to have on a Thursday night watching 3 hours. I think that was a big mistake, but they also made some very big mistakes with the editing of Bachelor in Paradise with the premiere. So I think that there's some changes to be made for sure.
Okay, now what about the numbers? So Paradise, do they have different viewing numbers? Did those numbers come in? How did they compare to last Paradise? Talk to me about the numbers of Paradise premiere from last week.
Yeah, what's absolutely wild. So Golden Bachelor had 4.3 million viewers, and then Paradise saw a drop in 2.3 million followers lost by the time Paradise aired. So I think people stuck around. I think that they watched the beginning, and unfortunately, Nielsen really guards these ratings. So we can't see like a real time, like what I would love is like, some NBA like in the NBA, like basketball world, there's some apps that actually like show the difference in score throughout the game. And it's like this constant moving line chart. I want that so badly for the ratings, because what I want to see is throughout Golden Bachelor, it's up here. I'm sure people stuck around for the whole hour. And also, can we talk about how it was a whole hour and they were able to fit a whole night one in 1 hour versus 2 hours on The Bachelor? But then Paradise happened, and I want to see how long that drop off, how long it kept that 4.3 million until it dropped off. That's what I'm interested in, because losing 2.3 million viewers is wild.
That's material. Like, that's significant, right? Same network, same exact franchise, and same host, right? Like that's surprising to me. Do we have any numbers of this Paradise? We know the drop off, right? Significant material. Do we know anything about how this Paradise premiere compared to last year's Paradise premiere?
I do. I just need to pull it up.
Yep.
Here we go. Yeah. So Bachelor in Paradise in 2022 had 2.6 million viewers. And then in 2023, it had 2.8 or 2.08. So
2.08. So down about 25%.
Yeah. And if we look back to when Bachelor in Paradise first premiered in 2004 or 2014, sorry, they had 5.3 million viewers for the premiere. And then the next year dropped to 3.6. The following year went up to 4.6. So these premieres do fluctuate quite a bit, which is why I like to look at the average ratings for a whole season. Because sometimes it's competing against like Monday Night Football, or it's back to back with the Bachelorette finale or something like that. So it really depends on the variable of like what's going on. I know like The Voice, for example, when I was analyzing their premiere ratings, there was one season that The Voice premiered after the Super Bowl. Big variable there. Obviously, they're going to pull a lot of people who are watching the Super Bowl and kept their TVs on. So it varies every season, but yeah, we did see a drop off in Paradise. But what I think is more interesting here is that they had 4.3 million people who had their TVs on, engaged, and then they lost them all. And I think that here was the big mistake I think that Paradise editors made. So if you look at the data of the contestants that were going into Paradise and how much screen time they had on the seasons that they were on before going on Paradise, and you rank them from high to low. So like obviously Rachel Recchia, very high screen time. Blake Moynes, he had a ton of screen time. You look at some other people like Braden, he had a ton of screen time on Charity season. When you rank them of who had the most screen time, and then you look at who they gave the most screen time to in the premiere, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. So if you look at the top 3 people who had the most screen time, number 1 was Will. Will was from Michelle's season. I analyzed that season. I took the screen time on that season. Yeah. He had 7.5 minutes of screen time, and I didn't even remember this whole jacket in the pool storyline, and I analyzed this show. And then
so if you don't remember it and your memory is as sharp as an elephant, like who's going to remember it?
Yeah. And then the number 3 person who had the most screen time was Olivia, who goes by Liv. She had 0.6 minutes going into Paradise. I had to look up what season she was from. I had to look it up. And they gave her the 3rd most screen time on the premiere. So I think what the mistake that they made here was, and then Kylie, she had the 2nd most screen time. So I'll give you guys the graphics and everything, and it's on my page. But the mistake that they made was Will unknown, Olivia unknown, Kylie had actually like a medium amount of screen time going into the Bachelor in Paradise premiere. But when Kylie was on her season, her whole storyline was around calling out a girl for going on the show for Instagram followers. So there's no investment that we have in these people who got the most screen time during the Bachelor in Paradise premiere, because we had no love story to root for. Like Kylie was known as the girl who called another girl out. Will, who is he? Olivia, who is he? That's who they gave the bulk of the screen time this premiere to. Big mistake.
To me, that's so shocking. And here's why. I mean, I think there's a few things you have to consider. One, screen time. So screen time is going to give some type of familiarity, whether you liked or loved or hated the person. You can connect with the show because you're like, aha. The other thing is I'm surprised that they didn't back into follower account. So if they didn't give someone that had a lot of screen time, I'm surprised it's not the most people with the biggest followers, because those people are already going to bring a natural integrated audience to the show. When you are putting out something like the Golden Bachelor, you are now attracting a demographic that may have left the show, like we've heard from your followers. Like I can use as a very, very micro sample size of my mom and her friends. They left the show. They all came back for Thursday. When they go in and then see Paradise, and they can't even connect at all. Like, even if you didn't watch last season, people know the guy with the earrings. Like, that's the thing. They'll be like, oh, the earring guy. They might not know his name or his storyline, but they can connect with it. When you start to watch Paradise and then you see these kids and you're like, I have no idea who they are, you're fully disconnected from the community of Bachelor Nation. And I just don't, that to me really, really, really surprises me.
Yeah, 1,000%. And if we look back at previous seasons, it's called, Game of Roses, they call this first sand, and it's typically like the first person on the beach or the first group on the beach. That's what I think production went wrong with this season, is that they put so many people that we don't have these storylines that we're invested in. If you look back to early seasons, like season 2, Jade and Jared were the first people on the beach. Huge storylines. Like Jared had gotten broken up with in, I think it was Ireland with Caitlyn, and then Jade was on Chris Soule's season and had the whole magazine backstory with, and got broken up with over the magazine pictures. And then you look at following seasons, Amanda Stanton, Nick Viall, first 2 people on the beach, Raven and Dean. Like, I mean, you look at these every single season, Tia, Hannah G, Blake Horseman, like they start out with really strong people. And this season, yes, Rachel was a great first person on the beach. And then the person that they brought down next was Aaron B, who had a less than favorable departure on Charity's season. And then we didn't get the connection of the storyline of, okay, Rachel went down to the beach. Who is she interested in seeing? That person didn't come down for a while. And like the storyline, I feel like what production has done over the last 2 years, and I think this was the mistake that they made last summer, is that they're focusing more on how can we create love triangles and tension between these people on the beach versus let's capture the viewers quickly with some really great storylines early on. I mean, with Kylie, clearly they didn't let Avon come down until the second day because they wanted to create this love triangle and have her take somebody else on a date before they brought down the guy that she really wanted. So I think they're thinking more about tension and love triangles rather than they're thinking about love stories, which clearly after Golden Bachelor, we want wholesome love stories.
Yeah. And what also is surprising to me, I would think that some of the strategy would be, we're going to step back into that demographic that watched the show 3-4 years ago, right? Hannah Brown, Pilot Pete, like those seasons, we're going to grab them back with this Golden Bachelor. I would have thought that maybe they would have brought some like older school people in. Like, how perfect would the timing have been? And I don't know Pilot Pete's situation if he's single. I have no idea. But assuming he's single, like to have him on the beach. So now you're connecting the older audience with people and faces that they remember from some of their higher rated seasons. Surprised they didn't do that. And I could tell you, as someone like behind the scenes, that, we help negotiate people's contracts from The Bachelor. We help manage them from the agency side. And I'm friends with a lot of them. The big conversation, Suzana, is how do I go on the beach first? And how am I negotiating, like getting the date card in hand? And people, I've heard them say it directly to me. I decided not to go on Bachelor in Paradise this season because of the time in which my understanding I would enter Paradise, thinking that the later you enter, the worse off you'll be. So it's in your numbers, it's in our numbers. And part of your strategy is saying like, hey, adjust it, shake it up, you'll get more viewership. One thing I got to talk about is I read an article that the discussion, I don't know if you know anything about this, there is a discussion of if Paradise will get renewed. Apparently it's still up for option. It hasn't been confirmed. You could probably help confirm that. But I got to think, if you got The Bachelor coming with Joey G, my man, then you got The Bachelorette, and now you have the Golden Bachelor killing it. I would assume the question's probably like, are we going to do a Golden Bachelorette and get rid of Paradise? Have you heard anything about that? Is there any discussion, any analytics to support it? Talk to me.
So I haven't heard anything about that myself, but it wouldn't surprise me because what's really funny is everyone says, I watch Bachelor and Bachelorette just so I can know who's on Paradise.
Okay.
So most people think that Paradise gets higher ratings than Bachelor and Bachelorette, but that couldn't be further from the truth. So it's typically airs over the summer, which is the worst time for ratings. And if you look back, even with the ratings that show the viewers over the week after it airs, like it's the full ratings number, not just the same day ratings. Bachelor in Paradise typically pulls in 1 to 2 million less followers per year than Bachelorette, and Bachelorette typically pulls in about 1 million less than Bachelor. So Bachelor in Paradise every single year has performed worse than Bachelor and Bachelorette. But I think that there is some potential here. So we've seen some different spinoffs from this franchise. That Golden Bachelor, yes, it might be just as successful as Golden Bachelor, but right now we're coming out of the writer's strike and we're gonna have a lull now for the next year because all of the shows that have been scheduled to film couldn't film during the writer's strike. So there's gonna be delays that they need to fill the next year with more reality TV. So what is also happening next summer? In Paris, France, the Summer Olympics. And we had Bachelor Winter Games in Vermont that aired the same year as the Winter Olympics. So I think there's some potential if they bring that back, that they can bring back some big names from old seasons to compete because it's not necessarily a love show. So they can actually do more competition shows, bring back those old big names that people feel that nostalgia for to start bringing people back into the franchise. And they can try some other spinoffs as well. Maybe bring something back like Bachelor Pad. Like, I think that there's some potential that they could try some different spinoffs because networks need to fill this void now, and they're going to have money to produce those shows.
I can speak for myself. I am old. I am not a big name, but if I hear Paradise, I'm like, meh. If I hear a Bachelor type challenge show, I'm like, wait a second, now you're talking. So that's very, very, very intriguing. We got to transition though to follower counts, right? We talked about ratings. We know Paradise. We know Golden Bachelor. What is going in the world of Instagram and TikTok? What is happening with Golden Bachelor? Are they picking up followers? Does that demographic not link enjoying TV to the Instagram and TikTok? Talk to me about the follower count from Bachelor in Paradise and Golden Bachelor after the season premiere for both of them.
So neither of them did that great. So,
interesting.
And I think back to when I started analyzing this show, it was like Colton, Hannah Brown, Peter's season. And then simultaneously, I'm analyzing this show while the whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing is happening. And, you know, Travis Kelce has now since gained over 800,000 followers since Taylor Swift showed up at the game.
It's nuts.
So these follower counts are nothing, but I have some reasons why. So first things first, Bachelor in Paradise or Golden Bachelor. Let's talk Golden Bachelor. The highest follower count that we saw from a contestant was 547 new followers.
Wow.
So, and that makes sense, right? Because typically, if you think back to this show and the people that are watching, the reason why viewers follow a person, typically, number one, women get more followers than men, and that's because it's primarily women who are watching the show. But they typically follow for a few reasons. They are invested in their love story, or they really like the person and want to follow their life that's going on during the show's airing and after. So when you think about relatability, right, and why you would follow somebody, there's a big gap here between the number of people who are watching, and I look at this because the people who follow my account and the analytics that I can see in the age ranges, there's a big difference in the age range there, so there isn't going to be as much of a relatability piece. But I mean, Instagram in general is just going down. We're seeing it for Love is Blind. We're seeing it for Love Island. It doesn't matter what the show is. I mean, Love Island has a much bigger audience because it can be watched all around the world. But even so, season to season, follower counts are going down on Instagram. The thing is TikTok, where things get really interesting. So TikTok, you follow on TikTok typically because a video comes across your feed. This isn't like Bachelor where you just go and search for a person, but on TikTok, the user behavior is typically more you follow them when you see a video. So what TikTok requires is that you have to actually make good content. which I think people from the Bachelor franchise have honestly, like, not to be mean, but
haven't done a
they've
great
been
job.
doing a bad job at it. Like, and it, it doesn't, like, a lot of them have quit their jobs. Like, you have the time to browse some big names and like watch and analyze how they're doing it. And I think a lot of people too, they're not just getting in and getting their feet wet and throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And I think that there's a lot of fear that they have, that they're waiting to do the perfect video or something. And I remember messaging a contestant because I was like, I love the pictures on your page. Like, I wish you would do like interior design tip videos because I love your house. Like, she had like this like yellow couch and like a blue back. I was like, this is beautiful. Like, teach us. And they never got around to doing that until months after they weren't on the show anymore. And it's like, you've got to do this when you're relevant and just make videos all day long. Like, throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and go with it.
It is such good advice. I mean, I think if anyone's out there, you have a brand, you're trying to increase your following, get it out there and just do it. I think people overthink it. They try to have the perfect lighting, the perfect editing. No. Just fire away. You'll be so shocked at the videos that actually pop off. All right. So yeah, let's just wrap with this, because I could talk to you for another hour and I gotta pull the plug here somewhere. Is there any other numbers, any type of analytics, anything you've seen from the Bachelor franchise or any other reality show that right now you gotta make sure that we're talking about on Trading Secrets, given that we just had the premiere? Anything, even Dancing with the Stars, anything transformative or that's an outlier that we should be aware of from Bachelor Data before we wrap?
Yeah, Dancing with the Stars, it is the time to watch TikTok shine. All of the stars that they have this season are big people on TikTok. So like Lele, we have Harry, like these are all people who are massive on TikTok. And I think people, regardless if you go on reality TV, you don't need reality TV anymore to get famous. All you need is your iPhone or your Android and an idea, and just try it. Like we were just saying, my best videos are the ones where my hair is not done. I don't have makeup on. I look like trash. I don't have a good background. And then they get like 1 million views. So it's
crazy.
Like, just try. And like, you don't need to go on reality TV anymore to actually get this life. Like, I didn't go on reality TV and now I work for myself thanks to social media. So what I want to say is, if you're watching or if you're listening right now, don't let the idea that you have to go on reality TV and become famous because of TV to stop you. Just start creating on TikTok and on Instagram and your life will totally change.
And let me put this out there. We just interviewed Katie Feeney. She is a social media influencer. She started with TikTok. She got to TikTok. They're called like, they're not shorts. They're like the real version of TikTok. I'm blanking on what they're called.
YouTube.
No, Snapchat's one. Snapchat has these. It's their shorts, it's their reels, it's their TikToks. I'm playing Spotlight, Snapchat, not Spotlight.
Yeah.
Katie Feeney. She was the first one to get to it. And then within the first week, she made $269,000. Within 5 weeks, she made over $1 million just putting out content. She's never been on a show, never anything, 18 years old. That episode is coming. But the point here is, you don't have to replicate her, but you might have a product, you might have a brand, you might just have a message that could really make a lot of impact in this world. Put it out there. You have no idea what you'll get in return. And the other funny thing you said, Suzana, is about TikTok. We manage Danny and Pasha, the professional dancers from Dancing with the Stars for the agency. And I called Danny, like, Danny, I don't give a shit if you just repurpose it. Like, get your content on TikTok. You are a pro dancer. You're one of the best dancers in the world. Just copy, paste, upload it. And she was laughing. So funny stuff. But Suzana, thank you so much for being on another episode of Trading Secrets, a great friend to the show. If you are listening to Suzana, we will have her back, hopefully after the Golden Bachelor, and then you can tell us a little bit more. But Suzana, I know you have a couple things going on in your world, more than just Bachelor Data. Can you tell the Money Mafia where they can find you and what else you have going on?
Yeah, so other than Bachelor Data, I've got Pop Culture Data where I'm covering everything that you can think of. So right now, I'm prepping a video on NSYNC and their reunion that they're doing. Basically, any pop culture media moment, I'm going to dig into those. Stepping back a little bit from how much I do Bachelor. So I'm pulling back like 10-15% so I can do more on pop culture. And then you can follow me on Rethink Data, where I'm teaching people how to use Excel to make beautiful charts without needing to be a data analyst or a data scientist.
I love that. And guys, go listen to the Rob Dyrdek episode and then go to Rethink Data. The Rob Dyrdek episode, he talked about how he's literally changed his life by using inputs into Excel and just tracking them. And it's as easy as touching one button. And then if you go to Rethink Data, go to Bachelor Data, go to Pop Culture Data, go message Suzana. You can learn how to do this, and having Excel skills can change every aspect of your life. Budgeting, how you track everything from your happiness to things that are fun to organization of what you need to buy. I mean, Suzana, you could speak to it more, but having an Excel skill set, even if it's just 101, can change the organizational, professional, personal, financial, even social life.
Absolutely. It's the best skill that I think people can learn in college or post-college, not only for their career, but their personal lives. It will absolutely change your life, and it's not as hard as it looks.
It's not as hard as it looks. It'll change your life, guys. Go give Suzana Somers a follow. And Suzana, thank you for being on this episode of Trading Secrets. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with Golden Bachelor. I know that you and I have both been on the show, and we offer our fair feedback and thoughts and even pushback to the franchise. But when the franchise does better, you and I do better. We are both advocates of the show, and I think we're on to something here with the Golden Bachelor. I hope the show keeps running with it.
Agreed. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on.